So this Sunday is the great feast of Pentecost, which ends the Easter season. And it's the feast when we remember the Holy Spirit coming down and descending upon the apostles. And it's kind of sad that the Holy Spirit is perhaps the member of the Holy Trinity that gets forgotten about the most. And that's probably because the Holy Spirit is hard to visualize. So visualizing the Father and the Son, I would think, is easier in the human imagination than imagining the Holy Spirit. But here's the thing, the Holy Spirit is the gift that Jesus wanted to give us before he went back to heaven. So just to give you an idea of how significant the Holy Spirit is, so even after 40 days of being in the presence of the risen Jesus, okay, so the apostles spent 40 days with the risen Jesus, and he did this to convince his apostles that he's really alive, okay? You're not seeing a ghost, it's me, it's really me. Even after 40 days of seeing him in the flesh, they were still scared, the apostles. They were still scared, they were still timid, they were still cowardly to go out by themselves on mission. You'd think that for any other person, it would be enough for them just to be in the presence of the risen Jesus. But for the apostles, it wasn't. So there had to come a point, there had to come a day when the apostles would completely change, when they would go from being complete cowards to now being brave witnesses for Jesus who would be willing to go to their own deaths, proclaiming the gospel. When was that day? When was that point where everything changed? It was today, the day of Pentecost, where the Holy Spirit came down upon them and infused in them and gave them the courage and the strength to do that which they could not do on their own. That's how significant the Holy Spirit is. And the whole book of the Acts of the Apostles is one long story of a community of apostles on fire to bring the gospel to the world. They're on fire, something that they just couldn't do or muster up on their own before Jesus ascended into heaven, before the coming of the Holy Spirit. So this Sunday, let's say a few extra prayers to the Holy Spirit and ask him to infuse us with the strength and the courage to do that which we cannot do on our own.